Hello, everyone, and welcome to a World of Fire webinar titled Make Fiery Command WorkStation Your Own. My name is Joanna Portela, and I'm your host today. As a global marketing communications manager here at Fiery, I'm so excited to see such a diverse and widespread audience joining us for all corners of the world. Now, let's get to the exciting part, our presenters. We are privileged to have two of Fiery's finest experts with us today. First, let me introduce Carrie Melody, our Senior Product Marketing Manager, the lady behind marketing of all things Fiery Command WorkStation. Joining Carrie is Greta Conlon, the product owner for Fiery Command WorkStation. Greta, of course, has the deepest understanding on how to optimize Fiery Command WorkStation and is passionate about helping users, just as yourselves, to get the most out of their Fiery solutions. We're confident that the time you invest during joining this webinar today will soon be paid off during your working week by the things you'll learn. But before we get started, we want to know a little bit about you. So I will be opening a poll right now that should pop up in your screen. And we have two questions here. First question is, what's your role in your organization? And the second question is, how do you print your to your Fiery-driven printer? So pick your answers and don't forget to click on submit. And we'll be looking at the results of this poll later during the session. Well, without further ado, let's start our exciting session. Carrie, Greta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joanna. As mentioned, we'll take a look at the poll results later, but I took a sneak peek there to see who we have in our audience today. And it's fantastic to see that we have a great mix of roles here live on this session. And that's kind of what this webinar is all about, really. No matter what your role in your print room, we're pretty sure you'll learn something that will help you print jobs faster, better, more efficiently, and more reliably. We're first going to go through some important basics of Command WorkStation, then the things you can customize about your Fiery workspace, then onto how presets and more can dramatically streamline job preparation, and then we'll move how to optimizing your server setups can boost production. We'll then cover where you can learn more about Fiery Command WorkStation, such as our e-learning platform, and at the end we'll have time for questions and answers, plus we might take a few questions along the way. Let's see what we get in the chat. Okay, so we're going to start with the important basics. These are the things you really need to know to get the most out of Command WorkStation in general. And just to mention, although today's session is focused on the cutsheet capabilities of Command WorkStation, these basics are true for all Command WorkStation users. So firstly, it's free. Yes, you've already bought a Fiery, but the yearly feature-rich upgrades also come at no charge. And you can install Command WorkStation as many times as you wish, again, still without a charge. And it's cross-platform, so both Mac and PC, just pick your favorites, and you can connect multiple Fiery servers to each Command WorkStation instance, giving you a bird's eye view of all your production from one space. And last but not least, it's backwards compatible. As an example, the latest Command WorkStation version, which is 7.1, can connect to Fiery servers that are over 10 years old. So we hope that even these basics will inspire you to install Command WorkStation in more places and start to get more from it, even before all the really juicy make it your own gems Greta's going to be telling you about shortly. But before I do hand you over to Greta, Joanna, can we see the results from the first poll, please?
Yes, so everybody should be able to see the results right now. And we do see that we have a nice mix of different roles, and obviously our Fiery partners also very present today. And we see that the majority of you are using Command WorkStation to print, which is great. So this session's right for you. Yeah. And I do see that we have some questions already. I saw at the ad for this session that we have over 50 ways to customize Command WorkStation. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I can answer that one as I wrote the ad. Yes, that's very true. If you take a look at all the things that you can select, switch on, switch off, hide, display, arrange, rearrange, modify, you name it, There are actually more than 50. We just didn't really want to scare everybody. And by the way, we're not going to go through all 50 today. We are going to go through quite a few, but we're not going to go through all 50. But yes, it's true. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand you over to Greta. Greta, take it away.
Hello there. Yeah, okay, we'll start with your workspace. So the basic Command WorkStation workspace. So we'll start with the server list, columns, toolbars, things you can customize, expanding side panes, viewing jobs different ways, and some prefs and settings. So I'll just dive straight in. Okay, so there's Command WorkStation on the left-hand side. We're starting off with the server pane, sorry. So you can see all of your servers listed here, right? And depending on how many servers, you know, you may see more or less detail, depending on trays and that sort of thing. But did you know that you can customize this pane? So under here, this is the customized server list icon. Once you click on that, you get the opportunity to not only reorder your servers. So I could say, okay, that one's important. I'm using that a lot at the moment. I'll move that up. So you can change the order of the servers, but you can also change which queues and which information you're seeing for each server. So for example, I have a customer who came to me and said, look, I manage all my media on the print engine itself, right? So that's where I load the papers and I set it all up on the LCD. So I don't need to see the tray information in Command WorkStation. I want to see more servers at a glance without scrolling. So you can, for example, hide the trays. You can also hide things such as toners, again, if you don't want to manage them here. And you can change which queues you're displaying. Just a question I get asked often is, what's the difference between printing and completed, or printed and completed? So the printed queue is every job that's printed gets saved a copy in the printed queue if that's enabled. However, completed shows all the jobs that have printed, no matter where they are in the Fiery. So for example, you could have a job in the hold queue, you set it to print and hold. So the job's now in the hold queue still, but there's a view of it in the completed queue. So if you ever want to see everything that's printed, no matter where it is, in queue-wise in the Fiery, completed queues that go for you. So I'll just hide my trays for now, just so you can see the difference. And see, on the left-hand side, I can now see 3 servers at a time before I could only see 1. So a really quick and easy way to maximize your real estate. You've also got this interface over here, so you can see the status of the Fiery, things are processing and printing. And you customize things such as your job list here and customize the columns that you're seeing. So for example, I'm looking at, let's say I can remove columns if I want to, I can add more columns, I can rearrange columns, so perhaps this preset column I want over here. So you can just literally drag and drop columns around, and if you want to add more columns, you can just click on add new, and then there's all the different categories of columns here. I'm going to add back tags, but anything you want, pretty much everything that shows in job properties, plus a bit more, is available for customization. And I'll show you how to save this as well. You can also customize the toolbar. This is the toolbar up here. Pablo's just asked what version of Command WorkStation I'm using. I'm using 7.1, Pablo. That's the latest version. I highly encourage you to download it. We support FS200 and higher servers for that version. Okay, so this is the toolbar, so you can customize exactly what you're seeing. Just right-click anywhere on the toolbar and click Customize. So I could say, for example, look, I use Impose all the time, so I've got that selected, but maybe I don't need to see the job log here, so I'll remove that one. I'm not using Sample Print at the moment, but I am using Job Master. There you go. So you can change exactly what you're seeing. You can change the order of them. It's just another way to make it faster to get to the tools that you need very easily. Of course, all of the tools and all of the job actions available are available in the right-click menu. This we call the Job Actions menu. This menu is also available from up here. Right, so if you click on Actions, that's the actions available for the currently selected job, just so you know. And you can also search amongst your jobs. So for example, if I'm looking for a job, you could do the click to search, so you can sort by any column, right? So I can see oldest to newest, newest to oldest, you can sort by name. But if I'm just looking for a particular job, you can search, and that searches across all the visible fields in Command WorkStation. So I'm searching on M&M, which is the name of a customer's jobs. So you can search on that. So it's a really quick and easy way to find what you're looking for. Just the quick and easy search. You can click clear to clear that search and go back to where you were before. Another way you can view and find jobs is to look in thumbnail view. Now I'm in list view where you can see the most jobs at the time. But this little icon up here is thumbnail view, which shows you the thumbnail of the first page of any job. It will show for jobs that are processed mainly, right? So jobs that are not processed will not be showing this, so you can see if it doesn't show it there, but you could still mouse over and see the details of the job. So that's just another way to quickly find the jobs that you want. Now you may have a problem that I have all the time, where you can see I've got this same job in there like 4 or 5 times, 8 times maybe. So if you're like me, you print a job, you go, oh, hang on, I messed up. There's a problem with the logo on page 3. I want to print it again. So you send it down or import it to the Fiery many times. You end up with multiple jobs. A quick way to find out which one is which is the history tab. So this here on the history, as I click through the jobs, see it shows me exactly when the job was imported, when it was processed, and when it was printed. So if I want to look for that copy of this landscape master that I printed, I can look it up and see exactly when it was printed and all sorts of details. So it's a really quick and easy way to distinguish between jobs, and also to see, hey, did so-and-so run that job? You know, I asked Kerry to run that job last night. Did she run it? This will show you exactly the details. And of course, once you've found the one that you want, so let's say this is the one I can see, it's been printed multiple times, that's great. Then you could just quickly rename it. Right, and you're good to go. So that's just another way. This is the job summary pane and history pane. That history pane's new, by the way. We introduced that in CWF7, so if you're running an older version, you won't see it. So we do encourage you to run the latest. In the job summary pane on this right-hand side, it's also a really quick and easy way to edit things. So let's say, for example, I've got this job. I found the job that Kerry's running, and I want to change it to 100 copies. You can just click and type in there. So anything with the little pencil icon means you can edit it. I could even change the workflow that it's using to a different preset. So yeah, just another way to quickly change things is in the job summary pane. You can change things like the name. It's another place you can change the name to. Copies and other things. So that's just a quick way to customize and at least find your jobs faster. Another thing you may not know, if you're looking for more real estate, now I'm using quite a large screen, but if you're using a smaller monitor, or if you just want to see a heap of columns at once, you can actually collapse the panes on the right hand side. This little icon down the bottom, I click on that, see, it collapses job preview and job summary. Now I can see even more columns. And you can even do the same with the server pane. So see this little icon down there? Collapse the server list. Now I can see heaps of stuff. In fact, I had a customer who only had one Fiery and just spent the whole time looking at the old jobs queue, and he was so happy that he could just collapse the server pane, not even worry about it. See heaps of columns at once. So I'll put them back, but just something that you can do. All right, and a couple of things in Prefs as well you might want to know about. So under Edit Preferences, in here there's some basic settings. I won't go through them all because they're all, the defaults are pretty good. You can set your language and units, but we read it from your operating system anyway, so it should be good out of the box. And this is also where you can back up and restore and share your workspace settings. So I'm already connected to the IQ Cloud, and you can connect very simply. It's a free sign up with your Fiery account. Takes like a minute or two, and you're signed in. Once you're signed in, you can actually just back up your settings anytime, and it backs up all of your Firies in the server list, including the server list customizations, like how I hid the trays. It backs up all your columns, the toolbar that you customize, any saved views, job properties, quick access and local presets, and impose templates and image enhanced visual editor presets. So this is a good thing to do, to have it there. It's also a really fast way to be able to set up multiple computers. You know, so for example, settings have been backed up successfully. I could then share this, right, and then give it a name, and then I type in an email and share it with another team member in the team, and they can instantly be using the same settings as me. Okay, and if you do not want to use or back up to the cloud, you can export manually. It literally just exports a file that you can then manually, take to another computer. But I do recommend, once you've got your stuff set up, back it up. It'll save you time in the future, and it's faster to set up multiple computers. Should we have a break to answer a few questions?
I have a question here. Can I rename my Fiery servers? Maybe Kerry, you can take this while Greta takes a breath.
Sure. Yes. Yes, you can change your Fiery server names, and I guess that's another little customization you can do to make navigation easier. The quickest way is go to the server pane, server menu, choose configure, then just kind of follow your nose. You have up to 15 characters to play with, and you can use caps and lowercase, no spaces, but you can use dashes. And yeah, I think I'm right in saying, Greta, the server needs a restart and you do need admin privileges to make that change.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you very much. Yep.
Okay, well, back to you, Greta, if you're good.
I'm good. I'm good to go. Okay. So we'll move on to, I see more questions are coming in. We'll try and get to them all at the end. So thank you for the questions. We love hearing them. We will get to them. So we're going to move on to tags and workflows and setting up some defaults. All right, so job tags. So you can take a job, and the concept of tags is basically being, you can see I've already got the tags column displayed, and I can sort by that column. You can use a tag for anything you want. So it could be, for example, using it just to identify jobs that run on a certain day of the week. But you could also use it for the names of the people in your shop, for example, in your operation. So I could say, you know, for example, I'm going to this job, it's currently set to Wednesday, but I'm going to assign it to Mike because he's taking the next shift. Mike's a light blue type person, I think. So apply that. So it really can be that literally is just a text field with a color that you can assign just for easy visual identification to be able to assign jobs. So it could be a customer name, it could be a person's name, it could be anything you want. It could be all the jobs that are due for booklet finishing that I need to run now because we're about to do a run of the booklet finishing. So offline finishing. And you can also see tags on the left-hand side. So here, see it's collapsed by default on the left-hand side underneath your queues. There's a list of the tags on your server. And if you click on it, it'll show you the view of just the jobs with that tag. Right, so I could easily click on that and go, okay, this is what I need here. It shows you the top 10 tags in that view. But you can always see all of them. If I go back to all jobs, all of them just by enabling the tags column. Right. Okay, so that's tags. Great way to be able to just put labels on things, make it work however you want it to work. Next thing is setting up workflows. Okay, so there's obviously a lot of things in job properties. This is the job properties window. I got here by double clicking on the job, but you can also get there by clicking on properties up here as well. But whatever suits you, or right clicking on the job and saying properties. So whichever way of access suits you, go for it. So I could go in here and let's say, for example, I'm going to print this as a booklet. I'm going to do a pretty simple booklet. I'm going to go for working 11 by 17 as my finish size for 2 up. For example, maybe also I need to set some finishing on that. So I'm going to need to say I'm going to fold that. That's a crease, I think. There we go. Great. And stapling. It's going to tell me if there's a conflict, it'll tell you and say, hey, actually, you needed multi-half fold. Okay, okay, and it fixes it for me. Awesome. So there's a bunch of settings. You might have also applied different image quality settings or color settings, but obviously this shows all of the options that are available not only on your print engine, but also on the Fiery server. So there's a lot there. A couple of ways you can make things quicker for yourself. First thing is you can modify your quick access tab. So the first tab of job properties is called quick access. And this one, you can change, I'll reset it back to default here. And I'll customize. So you can actually change exactly what shows in there, right? So I could say, okay, I'll use paper catalog. I won't bother with input tray or scale or image quality, media color. But color mode is very important. I want that up the top, maybe just below. You can see I'm moving up and moving down my options as I want. And when I click OK, it's now changed it to exactly what I want to see. So this is a really quick way to be able to get to your most commonly used job properties things at once, customizing the quick access tab. Now, back to, I've done all my settings now. I've been in job properties, I've set my finishing and my booklet, all of that. Let's save it as a preset. So click on the presets drop down and say save preset. And you have an option between local or server presets. Local is only saved to this computer, so only you can use it. whereas server presets are saved for everyone. So I encourage you to use server presets, and ideally use a server preset for every type of finished book, or sorry, finished piece that you use in your shop. So I've seen customers who've set up all their presets to match everything in their price list, for example. I'm going to say this is anatomy book. Right, so now that's okay. And that job can be ready to go now. So presets are also, you can view the presets, by the way. I'll open by double clicking on the server, you can open Device Center. And this is where you have more settings of Fiery. If I go in here under Job Presets, this is showing the presets I've created on this particular Fiery server. So it's a good idea that every time you do something, so let's say you've just run a business card, your standard business card job that you do in your shop, maybe you have a standard size or something like that, within position and all the rest, save it as a server preset. So now the next time you go and print that same type of job, you can instantly just import the file. Everything's included in that preset. So presets are a fast way to be able to save everything. It captures everything in job properties. It can capture in-post templates as well. Put that all there so then they can be instantly applied. And you can even publish it as a virtual printer from here. So if you've got, for example, I've got invoice jobs that come in, but they need to be printed from a computer on the network, I can publish this as a virtual printer. A virtual printer is basically all the settings in the preset. I'll just call this invoice. Except on top of that, it has a job action. So I'll say process and hold because I want to check everything. You can type in a description. That's just free text. And then you can see it's already using the job properties of that preset that I had selected when I clicked Publish as Virtual Printer. You can optionally use these as features. These features will show or hide depending on the type of server you're connected to and its capabilities. So Job Expert, for example, that is a newer feature which automatically chooses the best and optimal job property settings for image quality and color. Pre-flight, be able to pre-flight and check the job, make sure there's no missing fonts or stuff before it goes. And job flow is just a whole nother level of customizing your workflows, which we have different videos on, but not here. So I'm just saving a virtual printer called Invoice. Now that will be shared over the network as a virtual printer. You can see I already had a couple already created. So that's another way that you can easily share your settings, is you can make presets, you can publish presets as virtual printers, and you can even publish them as hot folders. So I'll just close out of here. Making hot folders pretty quick. Fiery Hot Folders is part of the Command WorkStation package and installs with the package by default. But you need to open it and create your hot folder. So if I wanted to make a new one, give it a name and then connect to your server, and then it will show you all of the presets that you've got created. So I could say, this was this one. Great, so hot folders are great for drag and drop workflows, and again, you can do optional things such as job expert and pre-flight. Hot folders also allows the conversion of files. So you could convert things like image file types, TIFFs, JPEGs, whatever, even VDP file types, Microsoft Office, all sorts of things can be used in order to drop files into hot folders. So I'll say, okay. And there you go. So now you've got a hot folder. It's sitting on my desktop. And I can easily drop files into that. There it is. You can just drop PDFs or whatever you like into that hot folder to take on all of those settings. Just back to Command WorkStation for a second. So I made this preset, right? And now I want to use it. So if I import, I'll show you the different access points when I import jobs. So let's say, for example, here, I'm going to go back, use this one, making booklets. At the time that you import the job, you can click on this Use Server Preset here under Settings, and then you can choose the presets that you've already created. Right, so there's my anatomy book. I want to use those settings again. You can again choose whether you use Fiery Job Expert or not. And from here, you can choose what to do with the job. Process and hold if you want to preview. I'm going to say process and hold. So the job goes off, processes. So this saves all that time opening job properties and finding all the right settings, right? It's doing it all for me. You can also take jobs that are already inside the Fiery. Well, maybe I want to take this one and then just right click and say apply workflow. And there's all my presets and my virtual printers all listed here. So that's a really quick way to be able to apply a workflow to a job. And you can have a column. There's a column for workflows. Workflows shows both virtual printers and presets. In preset, if you just use presets, you can just show the preset column, right? So it's a fast way to be able to say, okay, look at my workflows. There's my 2 books that I'm running. I'm running them on the same stock. I'm going to load that paper in the printer and get them out the way right now. A lot of people haven't seen this before, and that is that, did you know that when you in job properties, you can actually choose different job actions from this little drop down the bottom? So you can just say process and hold. Just another thing that saves you a little bit of time. You can also use shortcut keys inside Command WorkStation. So for example, if I want to print this, what would you do? I would say Control P. So if you hit Control P, it actually sends a job to print. There's a whole lot of shortcut keys that you can use. And I've got a little handout that you can print out, a little card you can print out, which we'll include in the presentation towards the end. So that's setting up your workflows. Good thing to do. So there's also, when you right click on a server, by the way, you can access the server menu for that server, and you can do it from up here. So there is something here called set defaults. Set defaults is a way to set the job properties defaults for that whole server. So this is a really fast way if you want to enforce something is always on or always off for that matter. Right, so I've seen, for example, I had a university customer, right, and they always wanted everything printed as duplex, top, and grayscale to save money, right? And they forced it to A4 as well because it was a metric customer. But yeah, it's a good example. And if you want it to be locked, if I click on lock for that value, that actually means that that attribute of the job can't be overridden at the time of job submission, meaning when the job's coming in. So it means like the print driver can't override that. The job properties can't override that. So let's say if I forced it to A4, then if I imported an A3 PDF, it'd force it to A4. So lock means don't allow overrides at the time of the jobs coming in. And these locks can also be applied to virtual printers and presets too. So you can set them. I'm going to put this back because this is not my Fiery. But yeah, so if you want to set all of the defaults for your server to whatever you want, maybe there's certain color settings that you like, maybe there's certain image quality settings that you're into. In that case, set them up. You can set them as your defaults, and that means every job that comes in will automatically inherit these features. Just another way to save you a bit of time. So just a summary on the workflows. We will be sharing the recording. Someone just added a question. Yes, we will share the recording at the end of after the session. So workflows. Great idea is to nail down your workflows. So presets are just all the settings in job properties, but if you save server presets, they can be used everywhere. They can be used in virtual printers or hot folders and from printer drivers and from Command WorkStation. So presets are just the settings. A virtual printer is the job property settings plus it's a shared printer that's shared over the network. So a very fast way to connect your clients to it with optional extras like I explained, Job Expert, Pre-Flight Job Flow. Hot folders is job property settings plus file conversion, so being able to change the file type, and it's drag and drop files, or copy and paste files onto a hot folder. So basically, presets are available from everywhere. Virtual printers is for file print workflow, being able to print through a driver, and this is for drag and drop, dropping a bunch of PDFs, for example. All right, we'll pause for a moment. I'll take a breather and we'll take another poll.
Yes, thank you, Greta. And the first question is, how many Fiery servers do you have? And the second question, how do you automate print production? So again, please pick your answers and click on submit, and we will have a look at these answers in a few minutes. And while you guys are picking your answers, I'll take another question. And the question is, I know you mentioned that you can install Command WorkStation as many times as you want, but I thought there was a limit on how many servers you can connect to.
Excellent question. Yeah, we generally sort of go by the rule of 10, meaning 10 servers in any one Command WorkStation installation or client. So you can connect 10 Firies from one Command WorkStation, and adversely, you can connect from one Command WorkStation to 10 different Firies. So we don't block it though. So if you happen to have 11 or 12 Firies, good for you, it'll still connect. It's just that the speed may not be as optimal. So one Command WorkStation to 10 Firies and 10 Firies in one Command WorkStation is the general rule we sort of go by for best performance. Yeah. All right, we'll look at some server administration. So we want to maximize your servers for maximum uptime. So server settings. All right, to access your server settings. Now remember, I right-clicked and went to Device Center. That shows some of the settings, but if you want to go into the deep settings, you want Configure. This Configure tool opens up. It's going to show you all the settings of your server. I'm not going to go through them all because there's heaps of them, but the general rule is that pretty much turn off the things you're not using, right? So basically the Fiery, we ship the Fiery with the most optimal settings to make it plug and play, to make it work out of the box in most environments. That means we turn on a lot of stuff, right? So go through and have a look through the settings, and when you've got a moment, turn off the stuff you're not using, because it's not going to harm the Fiery. But let's say, for example, I'm just skipping down here. So you've got all these different protocols you can print from, right? If you're not using it, turn it off. It's just another service that is sitting there taking up a bit of RAM and resources on the Fiery and CPU in the background. And if you're not using it, don't use it. For best speed, I would turn off preview spool job as well, maybe rip by receive. So, right, those will, rip by receive is great for maximum throughput, but preview spool jobs can actually take a little bit more time. But again, just look at the things you already use on your Fiery server. If you don't use them, turn it off. That's simple, because you want your Fiery to be like the leanest, meanest Fiery ripping machine it can be, right? So just turn off the stuff you don't need. It'll be better. Server backup and restore. It's not a popular topic, but I'm going to cover it because I want to save you problems in the future. So if you right click on your server, backup and restore, I beg of you, take an image of your Fiery server. So there's actually two ways you can back up. One is Fiery resources and settings. And this is literally just the settings of your Fiery. I won't go through with it, but I will show you at least what it covers. So you can see here it captures all things like your virtual printers, your presets, your paper catalog, all of that. So this is just produces a small file, like 100 meg, 200 meg tops, that you save, and you can save that on your computer or save it somewhere safe in case your settings, someone messes up all your settings or deletes everything for you. So that's a good thing to do, is to back up your resources and settings in case you come in one day and someone's been playing around with a Fiery on the weekend and the settings are different. But you can also back up a system image. Now, this is a much more serious operation. It includes the whole image of the operating system, everything on the hard drive, except we bypass the jobs because, if you're making a backup image, those jobs that you had in the queue 6 months ago, not so valuable now when you restore, and we want to keep the image size down. So I highly encourage you to schedule the backup. You can schedule it to run on your timeline. So you could make it run monthly, every first of the month at Sunday at 10 a.m. or 1 a.m. if you like. So choose the time and interval that works for you. When you do automatic backup, it saves it to the local hard drive of the Fiery, which means that in most cases you'll be good to restore. But just in case, worst case scenario is, the hard drive stops working or gets seriously corrupted by something. Back up one image. Just back up a complete bootable image onto a USB device just once. You may not have a spare USB device. Just grab one. I checked Amazon. They're like $30 for like a 500 gig backup drive. It's very cheap these days. It's going to take the Fiery offline for a few hours to do it, right, to that USB device. Same with the automatic backup, but when you schedule it, it just does it by itself and puts itself back online afterwards. But please make one bootable. It's going to make you save you so much time in the future, because if there's a problem, because unfortunately, Windows Fireys can get viruses, because it's Windows. If something goes wrong in the future, it'll save you waiting hours or days until you can get a service engineer to come out and reload your Fiery for you. You could restore, get yourself back up and running in a couple of hours. So that's just backup. Please do it. It will make things easier for you. I've already mentioned about client backup restore that was in preferences, but there's actually another place. See this little icon on the left, the Fiery Cloud Services? This is using the Fiery IQ Cloud. You'll see this icon from Fiery Command WorkStation 7 and higher. I'm on 7.1. And you can see here I've connected my Fieries already to IQ. If you haven't checked out IQ, do so. We've got a whole lot of good stuff on our website. There's videos and stuff. You get like a whole lot of free features, including dashboards that show you all about what your Fieries are doing and all sorts of stuff. So there's a lot of very valuable tools out there that you can use. but I'm just going to show you the backup. To back up my settings, it automatically backs up your license activation codes once you click backup once, right? So that means it's backing up your Impose license or JobMaster license, you know, from your local machine. And if you've got options on the Fiery that are backed up, enabled via LAC, then it'll back them up too. And I can back up my hot folders too. So this is a great way to make sure that if something goes wrong, or even like, let's say tomorrow, you're lucky enough to get a new computer, right? Setting up a new Windows or Mac, you could just load Command WorkStation, log into your IQ account, and then just restore. Bob's your uncle, you're all back to running, all your columns, everything's there, hot folders are there, whatever you like. So it's a very, very fast way to be able to get a new computer up and running, but also, of course, to keep things safe. So that's backup restore. Just on the maintenance side of things, we also have a little tool built into the Fiery, well, actually, sorry, it's built into Command WorkStation called Fiery Health Monitor. And this actually just takes a look at certain aspects of the Fiery. The options shown will depend on whether you're connected to a Windows or Linux Fiery. I'll give it a sec, because what it's doing is actually interrogating the Fiery server and saying, hey, you've got a bunch of things that require your attention. So in my Fiery, it's saying you should schedule automatic backups. It's right, I should. It says I have a couple of Fiery updates to do, and I've got a few Windows updates to do. So I know, you know, later on, when the Fiery's offline, I'll take it offline and do these. You can also do other things like restart your Fiery periodically. So even Microsoft say it's good to restart Windows once a week or so. But yeah, and it keeps an eye on your disk space too, your operating system and your jobs disk space. So it's just a really quick way to be able to see. And if there's problems or stuff that needs your attention, it turns red and makes this icon red. And if it's, you know, if it's all good and everything's good and good to go, it's all green. It shows a green icon as well. And it shows little tips and tricks. So down here, it scrolls through and shows you, so yeah, how to customize the columns in Command WorkStation, like I just showed you. Click on Learn More. There's even a video you can go and look at, which shows you. So there's just extra information in there, yeah. How to customize the toolbar. There's even stuff about hidden features too. So that's Fiery Health Monitor. It's there, and it's included by default, and it's just to remind you. And if you don't want it, I had a customer that told me, I don't want it, I don't want to see that, I don't want my operators to be able to see that, because I don't want my operators to change or install patches. You could also turn it off. I can say, okay. And I turned it off in preferences to make it hide. So again, we're just trying to be flexible for everyone. Okay. So just a little checklist for you. So first of all, nail down your workflows. You can save yourself so much time in preparing jobs if you can just, you know, send the job in with a preset. It's all set up and ready to go. You know, print one proof and you're good to go. Set your Fiery to automatically back up. It'll back up to the local hard drive. Back up your clients to the cloud, or you can do the local if you like. And store a backup image, just the one on an external USB drive, just in case. It's going to save you loads of time in the future. Yeah, so.
Thank you, Greta. It is really fascinating how many customization options there are. My personal favorite is tags, as I'm a very visual person. And I think it's great how you can customize them in absolutely anything that makes sense in categorizing jobs in your print environment. Anything from time sensitivity to who it belongs to in the team, or maybe what kind of finishing it needs. I guess possibilities are endless. Do you guys have a favorite? So if you do, please let us know in the comments. We would love to know your favorites, and yeah, that would be great. And just before we hand over to Carrie, let's have a look at those poll results. I'm going to show them to you right now. You should be seeing them pop in your screen. For the first question, how many Fiery servers you have? We do see that majority have from 1 until 4 servers in their print environment, and how people automate. Some people still don't automate. A lot of people are using presets, and we do see a few people using more advanced features like Fiery Job Flow. So yeah, great to see all of that. And now I guess, Carrie, you can show us a little bit more on how people can learn more about the Command WorkStation.
Yes, thank you, Joanna, and thank you so much, Greta. Such a wealth of tips and recommendations there. for you to put into practice in your own environments. But in order to do that, you might want to learn a little bit more or need some help maybe. So we've several places where you can boost your knowledge further. So starting with Fiery.com, where you can find a variety of videos, resources, information, and so on about Command Workstation in general. I spotted a few questions on downloading versions and compatibility and things. Just go to Fiery.com, you'll find a lot of information there. I also want to point out another very useful web page. Many of the features we spoke about today require you to be on the latest version of Fiery Command Workstation, which is 7.1 is the version we've been using here today. The What's New page, which Joanna will paste a link into the chat right now as well, lists many of the important features that came with recent versions. And there it also provides feature videos plus links to download those latest versions, importantly there as well. And of course, if you want to dig deeper, then head to our award-winning 24/7 e-learning site. And I've noted 2 e-learning courses here that I want to recommend in advance. Click the links, that'll take you straight to them. And importantly, we have Fiery Communities. This is our platform where you can post questions like you've been doing today, find answers and chat to experts on any Fiery topic. And Greta, by the way, is one of our very active experts on our communities platform.
Communities is a great place to ask questions, also to report problems as well. So here, if it's opening. So yeah, so I'm on there. A lot of our engineers, our QA, everyone's, a lot of us are on there. So we love hearing your feedback. So this is communities here. We've got a forum just for Command Workstation. So if you go in here, you can see Joanna posting about this webinar. There's me, I'm posting as well. I posted about Sequoia support, a couple of months ago, and you can see lots of people. So we've got users all over the world from using all different types of equipment posting in there. So please, if you've got questions that we haven't had time to answer in this, or questions that come up in the future, or problems, please post them in here because we love to help you. And it's a great chance for users to help each other too. So we have a lot of really active and really expert users in there. It's fantastic, who often will help each other's questions, particularly when it's something very specific, like on this specific finisher with this specific, setting, I get this output, how do I change it? There's often a lot of people who can help. So yeah, so communities is a great place to be able to post, and we can help you out as much as we can. Our tech support is in there as well.
Thank you, Greta. And we've also included a link to a handy little document on Fiery Command Workstation keyboard shortcuts, which Greta mentioned earlier. And that's just another little resource to help you work a bit smarter.
It's a card you can print out. So we made it the size that you can print out and put it just behind your keyboard if you wanted to.
Yeah, so you'll find the link there. And just to note that the PDF of this presentation that you will receive in the follow-up email after this session does have live links in there to all of the learn more locations that we mentioned, so that you can get straight to them, don't have to go searching around for them. So enjoy. And with that, I'm going to hand you back to Joanna, who I know has a bunch of questions that we'll do our very best to answer in the time we have left. So thank you for all your questions so far. We do have a lot, and we're going to do our best to get through them.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. And as Carrie mentioned, you will receive a link to the recording and the presentation a few days by email, so watch out for that. Well, so let's start here with the questions. Can you connect machines in different geographic locations into one Command Workstation?
Excellent question. So technically, yes, but realistically, you shouldn't. Command Workstation is optimized to work over a LAN, a local area network, and the performance is not good over a WAN. And I work remotely as well across many offices. So because Command Workstation is getting constant updates on all of the jobs on the Fiery server and the Fiery service status as well, there's a lot of network traffic. So really, if you want to use Fiery that is in a remote location, use remote desktop into the Fiery if it's a Windows Fiery, or remote desktop into a client on that network. And because the remote desktop protocol will be able to handle that interaction much better, and then you can run Command Workstation. In fact, all the demos I did today, I'm running a remote desktop from a Mac sitting here in the Netherlands, and the machine's in the US.
Did the Fiery Command WorkStation interface recently change? After the most recent update, it seems a lot of the features got moved or buried away inside the app.
It depends well, you were adding things to it, but we haven't made a major change since we went from Command WorkStation 5 to Command WorkStation 6. We changed a lot of stuff then. So I suppose I'd need to know, we try not to bury things away, but maybe you went from a much older version into a new one. But between 6 and 7, you'll see things getting added, but we try not to bury too much stuff unless it's really not being used at all. So if you want to be more specific, I suppose the latest versions has the most features, I suppose, is probably the best answer.
Okay. We had a cyber attack and had to reinstall Command WorkStation. Unfortunately, we're only able to find version 6. Is there a way to get the newest version downloaded?
Yeah, totally. Go to our download site. So I'm doing it on screen now. Go to fiery.com. We have our download center. And under support, download center. Okay, so you need to put in your details here. All right, and then submit. And once you're under here, it opens to print by drivers by default, but for Command WorkStation, click on Application, Software, and Tools, Fiery Command WorkStation Package, and it shows the latest one at the top. So there's the latest one, right? And so you could find and see it there, and that will show you exactly, you know, we support Windows 10 and later, and we support Windows FS 200 and higher servers. There's even a good, if I go back to the main Command WorkStation page, there's even a great compatibility chart on our screen where you can see for your particular version of Command WorkStation. So if I'll use for cutsheet printers, I'll set clients, supported printers actually. Supported printers. It'll show me exactly what you can download for your particular version. But if you're already on FS 200 or higher, no reason not to run Command WorkStation 7.1, which is the latest.
Okay.
So here we go. There's the table I was talking about with the different versions of Command WorkStation versus the different versions of Fiery Server. And if you want to check what version of Fiery Server do I have, then go to Device Editor, just double click on your Fiery. And this is the Fiery system there. This one, FS600 Pro, for example. So that's how to check which version you have. Okay, next question.
Yes. Is there a way to make non-admin accounts so staff in the organization do not have access to all of this?
Yeah, totally. You can make an operator account. So if you go in here, this will be in the configure tool. So you can create, you can either have the Fiery working off local accounts that are stored on the Fiery server itself, or you can make it part of the domain and use domain accounts. Most users we see in the field, people are just using local accounts. So if I go into user accounts here, so by default, we already have admin and operator logins to the Fiery, but you can see under operator, I've only got one user in the operators group called operator. But if I wanted to create a new user, I could create new user and assign. So I could create a new user called test or whatever. Give it the details. Username is important. Okay, and give them a password or leave it blank. And then under the operators group, hang on, edit that. You can choose what access they have, whether they have access to do things like create server presets, mailbox, manage workflows, that sort of thing. You can even choose that if they can only print in black and white, for example. So there's a few privileges you can assign to a group. By default, operators can't do stuff like change settings, install updates, open configure tool, all of that stuff. So all the admin stuff, modifying most of the stuff in Device Center, the operator can't do. So I've got an operator called test now. I'm going to close this guy. Now I log out. Connect. We save the last, if you save password, we save the last user you logged in as, by the way. So by logging in as operator, I'm clearing the admin password, but I'm going to log in as test, the one I just created. If you had your Fiery on a domain, you actually type in your domain username there too. So if you look at this one now, I'm logged in as an operator. There's lots of stuff I can't do. So I think I still had that in there, but I couldn't change color management settings. All this stuff will be grayed out, right? So a whole lot of things about modifying configure tool, changing setups, backups, all of that admin stuff will be grayed out for an operator. So that's an easy way. That means they can still import jobs, run their jobs, do all that sort of stuff, but they can't, well, change the settings and mess things up, I guess. So yeah, next question.
Thank you. Is there a way to customize shortcuts, specifically looking to set the quantity without clicking on the pencil?
No, but it's a really good feature request. Thank you.
All right. So how do I make sure the order it prints based on when it was submitted? I've had some jobs jump ahead of other files in the waiting to print list.
Generally, it's processing or moving the jobs through in the process in which they were submitted, or the process of at which you submitted them to print. So for example, if let's say, hang on, let me grab a bunch of jobs. Let's say I took these jobs and I say print for all of them, they're going to go in the order in which they're displayed on screen currently. So literally when I say print command workstation send, it's going to send Garota sample first, then umbrella sample, then etc., etc. And then it should maintain that print order. If it isn't, depending on there is a feature called sequential print, which maintains print order from the network all the way through to the print process. That's a whole nother session, I guess. But yeah, if you can give us, or maybe send us a message on communities, give us specifics. If you're not seeing that behaving that way, then we can always look into it for you. But it should be the order in which you send it here. Then it goes into printing.
Another question. Wait, is there a fire rip for large format too?
Yeah, it's called Fiery XF. Absolutely. I haven't shown it in this particular session, but yes, the Fiery XF is absolutely fully accessible, fully compatible with Command Workstation. You can connect and do most of just about everything I showed you. You can do there. They don't have server presets. They have a different workflow setup, but yes.
All right. Another question. After I create a preset and save it, how do I make changes and resave it?
Yeah, totally. Good question. Open Device Center. Double click on your Fiery to open Device Center, or right click and say Device Center. Go into Workflows, Job Presets down here. Take the preset, click on Edit. Now I can go in Server Preset. Yep, so then you can go in and I can change the settings. So yes, I can go in here once I change the settings and then click OK. That's now saved back to that server. And now any future jobs submitted with that preset will get those changes. Any jobs that are already in the queues that are using that preset, that they will not inherit the new change unless you reprocess them again. Just so you know. In fact, if you're doing that, modifying presets, anything that has, see here, if it has an asterisk on it, that means that it needs to be updated, right? So it just means reprocess it again, and you'll get the latest version of the preset. Or open JP once and close it and select the preset, that'll do it too. Okay, next.
Why no space when you want to set job names, for example?
Job names, you can absolutely have a space. We've just got it this way set up, for the sake of demonstration. So job names can absolutely have a space. You can say, this is a test job, whatever. The places you can't have a space are in preset names, server preset names, and virtual printer names. Those ones you can't have spaces, but just use underscore or dashes or whatever, and you'll be right.
Okay.
But jobs can always have spaces, no problem.
So dark mode for Windows?
Nah, and in fact, I was meant to show you dark mode for Mac, and I didn't quite get there. We have dark mode for Mac now, and it looks really cool. But no, unfortunately not for Windows. We had some problems with the technology. So at this stage, we don't have plans to do it for Windows, maybe in the future down the track.
All right. Why do I not get a preview when using the latest version of Illustrator?
It depends where you're expecting to see the preview. Basically, you'll get a preview for any job, no matter where it came from. So you can see here, this job I'm selecting here, right? If you process and hold it, right? So you always get a preview for that. If you're expecting previews on spooled jobs, that meaning the light yellow jobs that are not ripped or not processed, then it may depend on how your Fiery is set up, whether it's set to do previews on spooled jobs, also the way the PDF's constructed. But if you want to preview, the quick answer is process and hold. Always works.
And how big will the USB backup be?
Oh yeah, so last time I checked, the default Windows image was in the sort of 20-25 gig range. Now that's sort of fresh out of the box, but obviously the more stuff you put in, the bigger it gets. So I would allow for 50 gig to be safe, but yeah, it's basically, you can't buy a USB hard drive for less than a couple of 100 gig anyway. So just get one of those. The faster the better, by the way, obviously, because it would take you less time to back up and less time to restore. Yeah, we do compress the image when we back up. But yeah, so I think for Linux Firies, I think it's at least 10 or 12 gig, but for Windows, 25 gig minimum.
Where can I find a comprehensive list of all the offline file operations for hot folders, such as file conversions, color conversions, and other pre-flighting functions?
In hot folders itself, I guess, maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. When you connect hot folders to your Fiery, one moment, up it comes. So when you go in here, I'm just moving the windows out of the way. So here is a list of all the import formats. These import formats are all the ones that your current Fiery server supports. These formats will vary depending on the capabilities of your Fiery and also the option packages it has. So if you have a Graphic Arts Premium package, you'll have more stuff in here. So this is pretty much the complete list. You'll get one or two other ones that depend, certain flavor Firies will have certain ones dependent on our partners' requirements. But yeah, this is probably the most obvious list that you're seeing on the screen. Oh, just by the way, if you're going to use Microsoft Office, you have to have Office installed. Don't install Office on the Fiery. Don't install any applications on the Fiery except Fiery applications, please. Just because A, it's going to make your backup images bigger. B, it's just more stuff that's running, right? And it encourages people to do non-Fiery stuff on the Fiery. So yeah, this is good to run on a client computer running Microsoft Office, and then you can check that if you want to convert, PowerPoints and whatever Word files coming in. But this is pretty much the list. If there's more specific questions you have, let me know.
Okay. Is there a tool to know the cost of a printed job?
There is, but it's not available on all Fiery. Some of the more recent ones have it. So if you have it, you'll know because there'll be cost estimation settings in the server menu, and there'll be an option to estimate cost in the job actions menu. But it looks like the ones I've got set up today don't have it. Sorry about that. Oh no, this one has it. Wait, look at this. This baby has it. I need to log in as administrator. There you go. Okay. But if you're not seeing it on your Fiery server, then it's not supported. But here I can set the currency, dollars, euros, whatever, the cost per liter, and then it works out the average the coverage based on the raster data of jobs that are processed. And then if I was to chuck a job or two over, so you can send jobs between Fieries, by the way. So let's take these guys over. You can copy to another Fiery, or you can move to. Right, I'm going to copy to the Jace Z75. They send them over there. If they're the exact same model, it'll send everything, including the rasters, the processed images. If it's a different flavor Fiery, so this is a different model, it'll send the jobs without the rasters.
Yes. Is there a way to track department IDs within the Fiery WorkStation app? I'm working with a Canon G250.
Yeah. There's in job properties under job info. There's a bunch of fields here like job IDs and stuff, the job notes that you can use. This will be different. You'll get under job notes, and these fields under here will be slightly different depending on what flavor of Fiery you're connected to. Some of them will literally have a department ID option there. So if you wanted to track something that was a department ID, right, for tracking, like maybe in the job log later for accounting purposes, use job notes to do it. Then you can make job notes showing the job log. Oh, by the way, you might be wondering, why is job properties all grayed out? And that's because job properties on a waiting to print job or ripping currently active job goes into read-only mode. So you can see what you've set, but you can't change it yet because it's busy. If you cancel the job, then you can change it.
All right. If the pages of the document is uneven, is there a way for the Fiery to make automatic adjustment to make a booklet option work correctly?
You mean that the pages are different sizes? If it is that the pages are different sizes, you can set it to auto scale to a certain output size. So yeah, you obviously have more options. Pages are the same size. The number of pages are uneven. Oh, right. Well, because if you print a booklet that has 20 sheets, for example, so you've got basically if it ends up only needing 17 surfaces of that, we'll end up adding blank pages at the end by default. And you can set inside job properties, for example, if you're doing a simple job properties booklet, you can go in there and set to print on front and back covers, and you can also set similar things under booklet here. So you can set to print on outside or print on both sides of the cover. Same with the back cover. If you set back cover to print on both sides, then it may put the blank pages before the back cover. But you have way more options, of course, within Fiery Impose. Next question. And we've got webinars and lots of videos on Fiery Impose, and it's heaps of stuff in the Fiery Learning portal as well. So worth checking out.
So I'm very mindful that we are almost 10 minutes over. So I'll take one more question. And if your question hasn't been answered live, we'll be creating a Q&A doc and send that with the recording and presentation. Okay. So last question is, can I change the image size in millimeters and not just in percentages?
No, not that I can think of. Mike, do you know?
Not in job properties, no. Not that function. That would be in Impose. You could do some things, but not in job properties. In the
Job properties just scale to percentage sheet size or imageable area. But yeah, sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you, Greta. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. I hope you really found that session informative. And as I said, you're going to be getting the recording and all of the documents per email in a few days. And until next time, happy printing.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. And we'll get back to you with those other questions. We're taking notes. Have a great day.